Do that look natural?
Yes, guys, it's Gina, and welcome back to the final ever episode, ever, of the Reaching Out Conversations. Thank you all of you who have streamed the track, have been tuning into these conversations, have been supporting us and following us, and it's been so amazing and awesome to hear from you guys, the people that watch, the people that listen, what the track Reaching Out has meant to you. And it's been amazing to have these conversations. Hopefully the Reaching Out Conversations has unpacked a little bit more why we as OTC wrote the track, because we believe that we should reach out to each other, and we believe there's a God that loves you and is reaching out for you. And today's guest is so exciting because it's the final episode, and during these conversations we've kind of been digging into mental health, mental well-being, and how we can support each other and encourage each other. Our guest today is a local mental health worker. So his name is Tim. He works in a mental health ward. He's been working there for the whole pandemic, and he's got some amazing insight into how we can look after our mental well-being and reach out to each other. So enough of me chatting away. Let's invite Tim on. Yay, so we are joined by Tim. Hello, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent, thank you. You are the final ever guest on the Reaching Out Conversations. How does that feel?
It is a big privilege, a very big privilege.
I should think so. We don't ask any Tom, Dick or Harry. We just ask Tim's only. So, like I said in the intro, Tim is a mental health worker, but it's probably no use me chatting about that. Tim, tell people watching, who do you work for, what do you do? Tell us all.
Yeah, so I work in a mental health hospital in Cambridge. So my role is a bit strange because I work within mental health, but my role is very much focused on physical health, because often with a lot of the people that we see in our hospital, it's because of their mental health. Their physical health is quite significantly affected. So my kind of role is sort of doing blood tests, doing sort of looking at the heart, sort of testing the heart and things like that. So yeah, we go around. We're responsible for a lot of different wards. We have like kids right the way through till like really old people. Yeah, it's really cool. Get to meet a huge variety of people and some fantastic characters.
I love that. This is a bit of a random question, but obviously, like, we've been mates for a while, but for people who are listening, how the heck did you get into that? Because obviously it's a different thing, kind of counselling or like looking after people's mental health, but then pairing that with physical health as well. Like, that to me is something like completely new that I've never really heard of. So it's really cool. How did you get into all that?
Truth be told, my mum actually found me the job. I think she was getting sick of me.
All the mothers. You're right.
Sick of me being sat at home. But no, I had a look at a few other jobs, and I don't know. It was the only job I could find that was so using like a lot of what I did in my degree, but also it just had this whole sort of area of mental health which I'd never been in before.
No, that's true.
And I don't know, it just felt like it was a lot more varied than just going into a normal kind of hospital role. And I felt it'd be interesting to get sort of a different side, because I think people know a lot about physical health. I certainly felt like I did. Part of my degree was all physical health stuff. So I knew a lot about physical health, but mental health was just completely new to me. So just wanted to sort of get in there and see what it was all about.
Yeah, it's cool. Going off the back of that then, like, obviously mental health being important, in a nutshell, like, why is mental health so important? Why do you think that it is crucial that we kind of give time and energy to having conversations like this around mental health?
Yeah, it's mental health it's very strange because it's got this massive stigma around it, which I think is just very dated and very backwards and completely wrong, because mental health ultimately boils down to just as equally serious kind of sort of life-changing sort of consequences that any kind of physical health problem could ever have. And I think what people don't realize is often there are quite specific causes for mental health difficulties. It's not just, you've got someone who's feeling low, or there's a reason behind it. And it's something that none of us are immune to mental health problems.
True.
I think people often kind of sort of say, oh, well, mental health, it won't affect me. I'm not going to feel low. I'm not going to, I'm a positive person, but it comes to everyone at some point. And it's always there. It's always something that you've got to battle with. And I think people that will tell their friends, they don't have those problems, I think deep down, I think they do actually know that they do on a daily basis sort of have to find themselves sort of picking themselves up and, off their feet sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so true. Saying that as well, like obviously everybody has kind of mental health. Yeah, you're not immune to it. Kind of mental health is, or like mental health struggles or poor mental health is inevitably kind of a part of all of our lives, whether that's you or somebody that you love or somebody that you know. And obviously COVID, lockdown, all of this stuff will have had an impact. And like we were chatting in a couple of episodes before, which you can also go and watch if you want to, just about some of the statistics. Apparently anyone under 18 years old, 30% of young people under 18 actually said that their mental health had deteriorated because of COVID, right? Which sounds massive, but also like, I get that. Like, of course, like we've been through crazy last year, not being able to see friends, not being able to do the stuff we love, obviously college, school, university work, all of that looking really shaky. But one thing for me that has really helped is my faith, right? Obviously we as OTC are Christians, and this whole track that we brought out, Reaching Out, is all about the fact that in those moments when you feel the lowest, the most anxious, just the loneliest, we do believe that you are never ever alone, and that is a God who loves you and that is there for you. How has your faith, Tim, kind of like got you through and been something to lean on in the craziness of COVID?
I think for me it's probably been the kind of the one sort of constant thing in the time where every week, restrictions are changing, sort of, all the rules and stuff. I don't get any of it, but I think the one thing that's always been there is my faith. And it's not been, my faith hasn't just been a sort of plain sailing right the way through, but it's been there, and it's been there kind of when I've needed it. And for me, just having, I really sort of took sort of time during sort of lockdown to get back into reading the Bible, and that for me was massive because the Bible is just a story. It's true. It's just full of hope, start to finish, and it's just the biggest encouragement you could possibly ever need. It's for me, like, it's the biggest and best sort of mental health manual I think that you could probably find.
I love that. How has COVID affect your work, the day-to-day job?
So for me personally, not massively, because it's my role is still the same in the hospital doing what we do. What has changed though is a lot of sort of my colleagues who work out in the community. So we have a community team, and then we have like our hospital team. So we don't want people in the hospital. That's a last resort. Sometimes it's really necessary, but we try where possible to manage people and to help and support them in the community, because we want to kind of keep some kind of humanity sort of about them, really, and give them their sort of their dignity and their privacy. And when you come into a hospital, you lose that a bit, I think, sometimes. So we want to have people in the community, but because of COVID, we obviously can't go around seeing people as regularly. That we've got so many sort of support workers, mental health support workers, who would regularly have been going round and sort of just dropping into people's houses and having a chat and meeting up with them and things like that. And it's just not been possible to do that. And because of that, I think we've had a lot of people who have had quite sort of significant sort of deteriorations in their sort of mental health, and have therefore had to come into the hospital. So it's got quite busy for us in the hospital. I think just the combination as well of that and just being so isolated, I think for so many people have lost their support sort of sort of bubbles almost, and their networks. I think it's, sometimes it's easy for us to sort of not realize that, because we're, especially like now, we're so connected sort of on phones, and you literally just sort of, exactly, you can literally just do anything and type anything, and you can be chatting to someone in seconds, but not everyone can do that, and not everyone has contacts and people that are there for them like that. So yeah, it's really sad, but that's why I think we've had a lot more people coming into our hospital.
Yeah, obviously a lot of what you're saying is about how people are isolated and feel lonely. And another statistic that we keep banging on about on these reaching out conversations is actually the fact that 6% of UK citizens actually say they always feel lonely. And when I read that, I honestly was like, that's not just a bad day. That's not just like a mate bailing on a Zoom call. That's like you always feel lonely. And that is kind of like why we're doing these conversations around this track, reaching out. The track itself is obviously all about reaching out to each other and the fact that we believe God is reaching out to us. But the reaching out conversations, we want for you guys listening and watching this to be a place where you can kind of come, feel encouraged, feel like somebody is reaching out to you and opening up a conversation about loneliness, about maybe deterioration in your mental health, or if you're struggling, we want this to be a place where hopefully you'll feel encouraged. So saying that, Tim, what would you say to anybody watching this that is just finding it really hard, feels isolated, feels lonely? What would you say to kind of reach out to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth recognizing that, mental health is serious. Go easy on yourself. What you're experiencing is not easy at all. It's not something that, just certain people are able to just power through. It doesn't work like that. It does have quite serious consequences, and it has very genuine causes as well. So, take small steps, make sort of achievable goals kind of in sort of getting back to where you want to be, find something, find some purpose again in your life. Often I think it comes from a place where you really feel like you're losing a lot of purpose in your life, and especially at the moment, as you said, with COVID, people are not working, perhaps they've lost their jobs, people have lost their friendship groups through not being at schools and stuff. And you lose a bit of purpose, and I think that really takes away from a lot of people. It really sort of does affect your mental health. So you've got to almost find some purpose in your life again. So try something a bit different, and of course talk about it, accept help. It's not a sign of weakness, and that's something that really does need kind of just drilling in. It really isn't. What is a sign of weakness is holding it in because you're too embarrassed to talk about it. It is a big strength to go forward and say, yeah, this is serious, I need some help.
Yeah, it's really good. And we've dropped a load of helplines in the description below. So if you're like, okay, I really want to like talk about this, like I really want to reach out, but I just have no idea where to even look in that description. And of course, you can always message us on otc.band, also in the description. But thank you so much, Tim. This has been really, really cool. Any final words of wisdom before you go?
I want to read just a bit, one of my favourite passages,
yes,
if that's okay. Psalm 121, verse 1, I lift my eyes up to the mountain. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And if that isn't like a good enough sort of excuse to get into the Bible, then what is? So
there you have it, guys. There you have it. Thank you so much, Tim, and we'll see you very soon. As for now, see you later. Amazing. So there we have it. That was Tim as our final guest on the Reaching Out Conversations. However, of course, like I've said every week, it's not just about me, Aidan, James, or our guests. It's about you guys, the people that have been playing the track and the people that we write our music for, right? And as part of the Reaching Out Conversations, we wanted to get your guys' thought on the track. So here is Lisa and what Lisa had to say on our release day party about the track. And what do you think of reaching out? Kind of why is reaching out important?
Just to be honest, I kind of wish this track came out a bit sooner.
Oh, I love that.
Just to be honest,
How come?
this track actually kind of brought me back to when I was like keeping my emotions in and all that.
Yeah.
But during that time, I also felt like, other than self-harming, it kind of got to a point where I felt like killing myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
But I felt like someone was reaching out. This is before I even knew of Piator, OTT, Amongst Wolves, Soulbox.
Wow, no way. So what you just said is that, like, when you're at the lowest of the low, right, you still felt that something somewhere was reaching out for you. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Wow. And then,
And that's what kind of got me through to like stop self-harming and
yeah,
just to like talk to someone
mm,
about how I was feeling.
yeah, that's incredible. Have you listened to Wolf's new track, Voices?
Yes, I have.
Are you a fan? Do you like it? It's sick.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah, it is.
good. It's really, really cool. So yeah, that is Lisa there being incredibly brave and kind of explaining of how she was in a really bad, dark, suicidal place, and then her relationship with God grew. She kind of pressed into her faith a little bit more, and she's no longer in that place, which is amazing. And that track that she was talking about, Voices by Amongst Wolves, is an amazing track. It speaks right into suicidal thoughts and calls them out as a lie and says that your life matters. So if you want to listen to that track, it's in the description below. And yeah, thank you again, Lisa, if you're watching this. You're so brave and we are incredibly proud of you. And yes, Lisa's life matters, your life matters. We love all of you guys. But also now we're going to have a little bit of a story from an amazing lady who we know as OTC. She's called Lauren Jubb, and the track's all about how we believe God is reaching out for us, right? And this is Lauren's story of how she was in a really bad place. She went to take her own life, and God stepped in and saved her, right? So this is Lauren's story on how God reached out to her.
Hey guys, what's happening? My name is Lauren and I wanted to share a little bit of my story about how Jesus reached out to me. So yeah, I'm originally from Sheffield, which is in Yorkshire. Shout out to anyone who's from Yorkshire watching this. Whoop whoop. Best place ever, obviously. Yeah, so I grew up with a mum and a dad in Sheffield. My mum was quite unwell and my dad was quite an angry and violent person. So he would beat my mum up, but he would also beat me up and put me in this cupboard underneath the stairs. Now, as you can imagine, as a child, that really affected me. And it made me feel quite angry inside. When I was 7, my mum and dad decided to get divorced because my mum realised that my dad was doing this stuff to me. But how I dealt with what had happened to me was I would go around beating up other guys because I thought if I could hurt them before they hurt me, I wouldn't get hurt again. Now, I do not in any way condone my actions because I know that I ended up hurting a lot of innocent people, and I actually really regret that bit of my life. But that's how I dealt with the pain that I was feeling because that's what I thought I should do. Fast forward a few years, I've met this youth group, these Eden team leaders. They're letting me go along to their youth group on a Friday. To be honest with you, I was flipping hard work. Like, I would go to their youth group, I'd trash their youth group, I'd beat up all their people, I'd turn up drunk. I was just a total mess because of what was happening in my life. But nobody knew what was happening in my life because I was quite a secret person. I didn't want people to know the personal things that were happening in my life. I would regularly have thoughts in my head. Thoughts like, Lauren, what's the reason for your existence? Why are you even here? Nobody would even notice if you weren't here. I'd regularly struggle with self-harming because of the things that I'd gone through and because of how I was feeling. Fast forward a few years, I'm 14 years old, my mum's just been sectioned in hospital, I've just been moved into foster care, my brother and sister have gone to live with my family, and I am a total mess. I do not want to be here anymore. I've totally had enough. And so I've gone to this bridge and I've stood at the edge of this bridge and I physically jumped. Like, my feet have left the ground, I've jumped. Yet this gush of wind has held me back. I was so freaked out. I was so confused. I was like, what is going on? I've jumped, yet I've not fell. And there was nobody around. There was no wind around. There was no reason why I shouldn't have fell off that bridge. This thought entered my head of, maybe it was you, God. Was that you? Maybe it was you. And then I thought, nah, surely not. Like, God doesn't exist. So, nah, that's not true. The next day I go along to my youth group, and my youth leaders say, Lauren, we're going to this gig. Do you want to come along to this gig? I mean, I was always up for a boogie. I was always up for a laugh. I was always down for a bit of a sing-song. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So I turned up to this gig with my friend Sheridan, and we're stood at the back and we're having so much fun together. And then this guy on the stage says these words. He says, there's someone here today that tried to commit suicide yesterday. But I'm here today to tell you that God has got a plan for your life. I was so startled in that moment. It felt like this massive weight in my chest. I knew that could have only been God. I'd not told anybody about what had happened the day before. There was no reason why he should have known that other than it was God. I didn't give my life to Jesus there and then because I wanted to go away and figure out, what is this? Like, who is this Jesus guy? What has happened to me? It was a pretty mad time of my life. But I started to go along to church. I read the Bible, I went to church and I prayed. And for me, I could say that Jesus has proven himself to be real to me. This is my story, and this is how Jesus has reached out to me. And I believe that Jesus can also reach out to you. I believe that he loves you. He has a great plan for your life. Maybe you're watching this video and you're struggling with similar things that I've struggled with. I want you to know that Jesus has brought me through that. I tried everything else, and the only person that truly set me free from those things was Jesus. If you are struggling with anything that I've spoken about today, please make sure that you are speaking to an adult that you can trust. There are people out there that really care for you. But why not also try praying? Why don't you try praying to God and saying, God, if you really are who this girl is saying you are, would you come and help me in my situation? Would you come and reveal yourself to me? It says in the Bible that if you search God with all of your heart, you will find him. I believe that if you ask Jesus to reveal himself to you, he will reveal himself to you. He loves you. You are amazing. Have a great day, guys.
How incredible is that, right? And we do believe that that is what God is able to do. We believe that God does care about every single one of our lives and wants to reach out to us and is reaching out to us. So yeah, that is it for the Reaching Out conversations. Thank you all of you who have watched. Thank you for all of you who have streamed the track. If you haven't yet, there's still time. The link to the track is also in the description. And I really hope that you found these 3 episodes useful. Go back and watch all the others. We really hope that they've blessed you. And we really hope that you have just enjoyed the conversation a little bit more about why we wrote the track, what the track means. God bless you guys. We love you. Keep streaming the track. And stay tuned for more because we've got more releases on the way.
Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more video from us, please make sure you like, comment and subscribe.
Whoa, before you go, hop over to Instagram, check us out on Insta, otc.band. See you there.